Ladies and gentlemen, we are now gathered for the latest inductee into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. Our latest inductee into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame has always gone about it for the right reasons. When I think about the previous members who have been inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, there might have been no other person like the 17th member of our Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame to take his place in history for the way he's done it. With his never give up attitude, his can do spirit, and no matter the situation, no matter the circumstance, no matter the odds, he has never given up. Some would say that there's someone out there that's long talked about trying to finish his story. Our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame has been that person and some, by not once, but twice, finally going through the door, and not only going through it, but breaking through that door and shattering it by finally winning the Bolton Town Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship in the month of September, and then also, prior, not once, but twice, winning the Kingdom Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship, but fully taking claim of that championship earlier in 2023. Our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame has squared off arguably with some of the biggest names in this sport over the past 2 years, where he has solidified himself time and time again to be a guy right there as a main event player, squaring off with the likes of renowned United States superstar Franco Varga, Sean Only, Jack Johnson, a man he wrestled for that World Heavyweight Championship in multiple promotions. Rarebit, a man he took a championship or two away from. Also the likes of Gareth Angel, even at one time. A who's who of names that our latest inductee into the Sportswire Radio's Hall of Fame has squared off with, which has made him arguably one of the most popular and one of the most beloved guests in our show's history. And he's going to be in action. Get this, ladies and gentlemen, this Saturday. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about all of that here and some. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it is officially time now for our guest here tonight to take his place alongside the likes of the natural born fighter, R.P. Davis, and Dean Olmark into our Sportswire Radio's Hall of Fame. Bentley, I want to officially congratulate you as the 17th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. But before I do that, it's time to give you that usual introduction that you've gotten here time and time again, as I'm pretty sure you now have the most appearances in Sportswire Radio show history of any guest that even counts the natural born fighter, R.P. Davis. So with that, without further ado, here on the Sports Report, number one global sports show, the reigning, defending BTW and Kingdom Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. They call him the Vigilante of Pro Wrestling, but now they call him a Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer. His name is Bentley. The champ is here. Congratulations on becoming a member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here again, Tom. Are you sure I've been here the most out of anybody?
I think, I thought about this officially. Now, we had certainly people like Wildfire Nate Reese that did regular shows with us, but I kind of counted him as an analyst. But I think when we look back on wrestlers over the 5 years in the platform that have come on, I would have to say that you've come on here now more than RPD. RPD in the early days came on a lot, but I think over the past year or two, because well, he's RPD and he's like all over the place now. His appearances are almost kind of like an attraction, whereas we've had the opportunity and the honor to have you on usually every few or so months after a BTW show, getting us ready for now a Kingdom Wrestling show. So I think that you've actually over the past 2 years come on more than RPD has over the past three. So I think that's why I think I just gave you the edge, because I've actually gone back and counted them. So I'm pretty sure with this appearance, you've actually gone ahead over RPD. But who knows? Maybe one day you'll actually square off against him in a Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame versus Hall of Fame match. And listen, I mean, Dave Birch, we're going to talk about in a few minutes, has wrestled in Catch Pro Wrestling, and that's where a place that Dean Allmark has certainly made some waves in and made some history with. So listen, I mean, definitely never say never on all those different things. But yes, to answer your question, I believe you've come on here actually now more officially than RPD.
It sounds like you want to book a show.
I would love to see you in RPD. I think I've said this here over and over and over. I mean, if we could, I mean, we think about it, what you've done in Bolton Town Wrestling, what you've done in Kingdom. I'm sure there'll be some other places maybe we'll talk about later on. But I think about what you've done and what he's done over the past few years. I mean, we said it here basically in officially inducting you. You've gone up against the likes of Franco Varga. You've gone up against the likes of Drill. You've gone up against the likes of Jack Johnson, Sean Only, Disciple when he was a champion, Alex Boylan finally getting over him, the metal god, Gareth Angel once upon a time. I mean, the who's who of people, Eitan Steen, of course, another world champion in the LWF. And you've gone up really against some of the top in this sport, kind of like he has. So I think, you know, if we're going to go right, we'll go into Kingdom in a second. I think you and him one day would certainly be a match I think a lot of people would want to see. And who's the pound for pound, the best British wrestling world heavyweight champion currently. So yeah, if I'm going to go straight, if I'm going to shoot, that's what I would love to see. And I think a lot of people would love to see that, especially of, you know, British wrestling fans.
Well, I think we should do a Sportswire UK show.
You know, people have actually asked me, will we do a Sportswire show one day? People have actually asked me these different things. So, I mean, I would love to see you and, let's say, RPD. I know RPD said, you know, I want Dean Allmark. And then there's a guy that we've had on Sportswire Radio a couple of different times. A later guy, Jimmy Controversy, who's wrestled for Grimm's Toy Shop, which everybody knows, Grimm's Toy Shop. And he's talked about having a match with Dean Allmark. But I think you and RPD, because I think about it, the tail of the tape, the way you've gone about things, the never giving up, always fighting for justice. RPD, always doing it for the fans, always doing it the right ways. You know, in a lot of ways, maybe it would be kind of like our modern day version of Hogan and Warrior in a way. I mean, maybe that would be a way to settle who's the unified British wrestling world champion. Maybe who's the greatest Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer. Who knows? I'll make sure Mr. Davis, though, hears this in a little while. I can guarantee you I'll make sure he hears this.
I mean, it would be a pleasure to step in the ring with someone like RPD. So yeah, I'd be all up for something like that.
I will definitely. In fact, I just spoke to him literally about 25 minutes before I sent you the link, so I will definitely make sure of that. But I will get to that later. I want to give a big shout out, obviously, to Kingdom Wrestling. Kingdom Wrestling, definitely congratulations to everybody that's made this happen. I guess if I could maybe break the fourth wall, congratulations to Mr. Angel on everything that he has done. He has obviously been a great supporter. I know might have been a couple different things out there, you know, things that may have been said, but I want to put it out there. Gareth has always been somebody that we've loved here on Sportswire. Gareth has always been somebody that we always want to have on here, always promote all the great things that you've been a part of it. And we'll get to Dave Birch in a second, but I want to talk to you on what it means now to see us now transform into Kingdom Wrestling. We have a lot of great stuff ahead, and I think this gives an opportunity, I think, for those that support everything that you guys have done over the years to support this even further. So talk about, obviously, Kingdom Wrestling and becoming a charity, and, you know, what does that mean to you and everybody else?
I think, obviously, the positive is that it obviously is now a charity, and it is now going to be doing something even more for good. Obviously, it did good through the church ceremonies and the...
Up in Bradford, sure, yep.
Yeah, but now it can expand to the whole country, who knows, wherever else. It's set up as, you know, an entity that will make money and do good for people and do good for good things. It's something, obviously. So for me, I'm not wholly religious myself, but I am happy to be involved in something like this because, you know, I believe in charity. I believe in, you know, doing good things for good people and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm very happy with the way it's going. I'm excited to be, you know, going into 2024 as the champion. as the person to lead this brand forward. If you would say, the pinnacle of Kingdom, if anyone. So it's one of those things. I am looking forward to this year. I'm looking forward to being the face of Kingdom, and I'm looking forward to just doing some good.
Absolutely, and I think that also what Kingdom does, it doesn't matter whether you are anything, whether any background, any orientation. I think the message here is that doing good, doing things for the right reason, which is what you've always done. You've always fought for justice. You've always fought to do things the right way. You've always fought for the people, and I think in a lot of ways there's a lot of similarities here, and that's why I want people to follow on a number of different platforms here on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, Kingdom Wrestling UK. We've got a show ahead, by the way. So let's kind of go right into it, because obviously I know you're a busy man. You're getting ready for more interviews. You're certainly getting ready for more matches ahead. Everybody certainly wants Bentley. They want the vigilante of pro wrestling. And you are getting no day off here. You have no easy day at work here coming up on January the 20th, because you have a man in Dave Birch. Dave Birch, I mean, this is a well-traveled man. I mean, I've seen him up against the likes of Rob Drake, Sheik El Sham. I mean, he's been up there, and a man you actually have some history with. And, this is a really, really intriguing match. And in a lot of ways, I mean, this might be your biggest test yet, and yet it's a non-title match. So talk about, for those that are listening and watching on Sportzwire Radio, and what those that'll see coming up here on January the 20th, this Saturday at Awards Night, what we'll see between you and Dave Birch.
I am extremely excited. Like, the man is an incredible wrestler. He is, I've fought him before. We fought twice before. So we fought in a title match for we'd say GTM championship.
I was going to say, do I refer to it as that name? Do I just go and say the Kingdom? I think I said Kingdom pretty much.
I think we'll go out. We'll go with Kingdom now, I think. Yeah. So it was on one of the dark shows, if you will, in Derby. And then we also faced each other at the Fountains Church a couple of years ago, just before I flew to WrestleMania. And
yes, I think I remember that. I think I do remember that. Yeah, that was 2 years ago, if I want to say.
Yeah, so I won both of those, but the man is incredible. He is a fantastic wrestler. He has been in the ring, like you said, with the greats. He's been in the ring with Scotty 2 Hotty. Like, what more? He has got the experience. He's got the knowledge. He's got the know-how. He's part of that class of PCW where we started training together. So it's me, Dave Birch, Alex Boylan, Phil Michael, Jack Barron.
Phil Michael's all over the place. We spoke about Phil in the past with you. Another man you've wrestled before. Yeah,
exactly. So we were all in that same class together. So we've known each other for that long. He was a PCW Cruiserweight champion for ages. So half of me is glad it's not a title match, because I know Dave Birch will push me to my limit. I know we'll put on an absolute banger, and I'm excited that it's the opening match of the year for Kingdom, because if there's anything to grab your attention and suck you into Kingdom for a year, it's us two.
Let me ask you this question, and I ask this to people all the time. I just had on a coach that's the head coach of the United States women's amputee soccer team, and I asked her the same question, and sometimes it's first impressions. They just went out there and they played in Poland, and I was asking her about that experience. And I'll ask you the same question, but in a different way. Knowing that this is the first match of the year, not only for you, but for also this new name, Kingdom Wrestling. In a way, you're going to be a trivia question. When we look back 20 years from now, 30 years from now, we see the success of Kingdom Wrestling, and Kingdom Wrestling's everywhere. It's going to be a trivia question. Who was the first match? Dave Birch and Bentley, the vigilante of pro wrestling. And I have to ask you that. What does that mean to you? And how important is that to kind of show the world in a way what you have and bring to the table to a new name? And again, it's a whole nother level, and it's something that's a trivia question. Talk to me about that.
Like I said, yeah, it excites me. Like, these sort of things are stuff that keep me going. Like, over Christmas, I didn't stop hitting the gym. I didn't stop. No, I enjoyed a few days at Christmas, but I've been on it since. I'm excited for my first match of the year. I think David has already wrestled his first match of the year at Future Shock.
Yeah, I think they had a show last Sunday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so he's already on it. He's already in top form. He never stops. So I've got to be on top form, and I'm excited. If there was a match I could have chosen, that would have been the first match of Kingdom. It would have been something like this. So I don't see any pressure. I see opportunity, excitement, and just the chance to charge Kingdom into this year.
But you don't also think, in a way, conversely, that he's going to be motivated because you've been in the ring with him. He knows you well. He trained with you in that class in PCW. Obviously, you've all had certainly a lot of success. You obviously winning 2 world titles. Also, certainly what Dave has done. You mentioned Alex Boylan. You mentioned Jack Barron. You mentioned all those people. I've seen you wrestle them in different places, and certainly, I'm sure we'll talk about them down the road. But you think also, in a way, maybe he's going to be motivated, to kind of even the score with you, but also show an audience here in Kingdom with a new name. Hey, you know what? If I beat Bentley, the Vigilante of Pro Wrestling, he's the BTW Kingdom Wrestling World Champion. I'm now going to be a guy that jumps right up to the top of the line here, and I can be here in Kingdom for any time I want, and whatever happens, I can be a title contender. And what's your thoughts on all that?
I think he's going to be more than excited. He's going to be more than motivated. I know the man. He lives, breathes, eats, sleeps wrestling.
That's like he's like a Martin Kirby, a Johnny Storm, those guys that go out there and they're the definition of a pro wrestler. They go out there. Dean was like that for sure when Dean was certainly wrestling up until his most recent injury. We say hello to Dean, obviously. Dean's doing some training, I think, as we speak right now. But he's the definition when we think of Dave. That's a pro wrestler that works probably like 100 times a year, give or take.
Yeah, and he'd work more if he could. He's like, so he is going to be in tip-top shape. He's going to be incredible. He is. No, like, when people make lists, I don't make lists, but he would be one. If I hadn't wrestled him already, he would be near the top of that list. Like, so he will have the bit between his teeth. I would say he wasn't put on enough shows last year out in general. Like last year, I think that he stopped near the end of the year. Future Shock picked him up and showcased him a lot more. But I think during the year, he wasn't on enough shows, in my opinion. The man should be everywhere. And hopefully this will give him an even bigger platform because it gets streamed out online to have footage to show to people this man is Dave Birch. So he's going to be excited.
Even though it could be at your expense, though. Even though at your expense, he could get a victory over you. I mean, there's no sleep till dawn for you. There's, you obviously are the world champion, and you're saying a lot of great things about your opponent. I agree with you, and I want to say hello to a few people in a second, but Dave Birch is a man that's very, very still established. I agree with you 1,000%. He should be wrestling as much as Martin Kirby and Johnny Storm and everybody else out there. Dean before his injury. But he could still do that at your expense coming up this Saturday.
He could, very well could. But when was the last time I lost in the Parish Church?
I don't even know. Well, I would say technically last year at this time against Disciple, technically, but that was like
let's go lost clean.
Last time you lost, I would say
the cash-in, I would say, but that was after a match.
I mean, I suppose. I mean, even I guess maybe Alex Boylan. Maybe even that's
everything's been not.
Listen, what did I say in introducing you and inducting you into the Hall of Fame? You were basically knocking on the door. And you finally not only went through the door, but you shattered the doors. What you did in Kingdom especially. I mean, everything you went through with Sean Owen, we're going to get to them in a second. Jack Johnson, everything you went through with certainly for sure Alex Boylan, finally getting your first victory over him. I mean, who would have believed that? Everything with Rarebit, Rarebit in 2 promotions. I mean, you went through a lot to get where you are. And certainly a guy like Dave Birch, he knows that. He knows that. He scouts you. He watches all the shows like I do. And he's going to say, you know what? I beat this guy. And all of a sudden, I'm at the top of the chain. And maybe I want to make my home in Kingdom Wrestling. Kingdom Wrestling's listen, Garrett has wrestled Jimmy Jackson. I mean, we know top stars have come here and wrestled in Kingdom. Kingdom is not chopped liver. That's why we call it Kingdom Wrestling. So the facts are is that, you know what? You go out here and for whatever reason, you lose this match. He might decide, you know what? I want to make a home here.
I would quite happily want Dave Birch as a regular fixture of Kingdom, even if, well, my opinion is not going to beat me. Let's put that out there. Yeah, he's not going to beat me, but I think the showing he'll put on will deserve him to stay around Kingdom. He will deserve, and I would quite happily have him as part of the roster, as part of that top tier guy.
I would love to see. Listen, I would love to see him here too. Go ahead, jump in.
Yeah, let's be honest. The top tier guys in GTM at the moment. Sorry, Kingdom. GTM.
You know what's gonna be like? You know, remember when WWF changed to WWE? Yeah. It's gonna be like the same thing. When people are gonna still refer to it as like WWF for like a few months, they're like, "All right, I remember now."
Yeah. So, yeah, Kingdom. The top guys: me, Gareth Angel, Jack Johnson, Sean Only, Alex Boylan. I said Alex Boylan? No. Rarebit, he's gone, he's disappeared now, hasn't he, for a bit? So let's see what happens, or whatever happened with him. I don't know what happened with the dragging him out of the ring or something. Was it?
Well, you know, I'm gonna leave that at that. I mean, we'll certainly have to see. I will definitely see, but I do want to say hello to a number of people here. First of all, I want to say hello to the Tribal Cheese, Mr. Tribal Cheese, Big Cheese Logan's going to be in your chair next Wednesday. Good evening, Rev. Good evening, Bentley. Hope you're both well. Absolutely same thing. I want to get to Michael Blackheart in a second, but I want to say hello to the Tribal Cheese first. Definitely have to Tay and get Rarebit on the show. He's having a little break. What you said, yeah, you know, it's funny that he said that because Rarebit, and I know I've spoke about this before. People have asked me, well, would you want to have Rarebit on the show? And I've always said, yeah, I would love to have Rarebit, but Rarebit's kind of like Rarebit. I mean, he doesn't really talk. I mean, Rarebit, you know, I mean, I'm having Prince Dagan on tomorrow on TCW, and he used to speak Latin. Now he's speaking in English, and now he wants to come on. But Rarebit, I don't know if anybody, has Rarebit ever done a podcast? I mean,
I don't think so.
I think there was Chris Lappin, who's training out, I think, in Wrestle Island. He was the BBG guy. I don't think he had Rarebit. There was Kurt Johansson. I don't know if you know Kurt. Kurt was doing stuff with Odyssey. He used to do shows. And I don't think he was on Kurt's show either. Kurt hasn't done his show in 2 years. I'm really, you know, not to kind of tip my head. And it's Adam Barker. I know Adam has not had Rarebit on. I'm really the only guy left of all that class. You know, we all kind of were in the same class, the same era back in COVID. And I'm the one still standing. And I don't think that Rarebit is going to any other podcast, but I'd love to speak with him if that's the case. Also, Star Killer Dave Birch is amazing. I trained with him in 2018. He was always levels above. Yeah, I mean, listen, Sheik El Sham, we spoke about quite a bit. Obviously, we've seen him on Raw. You know, we mentioned also, you know, everybody in PCW, that class you were a part of. And, you know, he's been in there. Rob Drake. I mean, he wrestled Rob Drake multiple times. We know Rob Drake. We know the family name there. So, yeah, I mean, I'm really, really excited to see what you do there on that. Also, my buddy Michael Blackheart, who, by the way, his father-in-law is a referee. We always talk about his father's a referee here in Indiana in XCW. And he says he'd just love to get a mention. He's always loved your success. So basically, Michael would like you to say hello to him. So hopefully that Michael. Yeah. And we're actually going to unveil something that we gave to Bentley at the end of the show. So we'll certainly see. And we obviously had our little Hall of Fame speech, but there's something that we're going to give Bentley to kind of honor him officially on Sportswire Radio. So definitely hope you stay tuned for that. Also, yes, I agree. He's been a fantastic champion, a great ambassador for the promotion, and new title coming. So are you getting a new championship that we know about or don't know about?
I don't know. Well, we'll see. I assume so, if that's what they've said. But yeah, back to the point before about, you know, all those top tier talents I mentioned. It's been like that for a while now, and there's not really been any. I'd class Jimmy as well because Jimmy's been semi-regular.
Oh yeah, absolutely, Jimmy. I mean, Jimmy. If Jimmy's here, I'm putting Jimmy in anybody's book for sure.
It's been like that for a while now, and fresh faces, fresh top tier faces, has been something that I would like to see in Kingdom because we have this select group, I think, and we've all wrestled each other some variation of each other, and I think fresh matchups, new year, new faces, people who can put on a really good show is something that, you know, that's why I think Dave Birch would be a great addition to the roster.
I agree. Listen. I think that we want to see new names. We want to see new wrestlers. Because again, people want to see the best square off. And Kingdom Wrestling has always been a place that I think that we've seen a lot of talent square off. And I think that we'd like to prove why we are a place that people should go out there and watch. And by the way, you can watch the show coming up here real quick before we get to more comments. This Saturday, you can watch the show this Saturday on the Kingdom Wrestling YouTube page, Kingdom Wrestling UK. I believe the doors open at 6 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken, for award shows. So you can certainly check out more information. Kingdom
5:30,
Wrestling.
I think.
Oh,
Show
5:30.
starts
Okay.
at 6, I think. I could be wrong.
Okay. Well, there you go. So I'm glad to make sure that I was gonna say go to Kingdom Wrestling UK now on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and go out and find out more information. I'm gonna ask you on award show in a few minutes. I'm also gonna talk about Bolton. I realize I've only got so much time, so I'm gonna work everything in here. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters here on Sportzwire Radio, and the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportzwire Radio. And we are here. We officially inducted Bentley. In fact, I'm gonna show it right up here on the screen. Bentley as our official member here of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, and he is now our 17th member, right in the middle here, right in the middle of our second class of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, and to be inducted also into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame Saturday night, which will be 9 o'clock UK time. So great, get this, Bentley. I'm going to watch Kingdom Wrestling's next show, and then I'm going to induct Luke Leyland. Luke Leyland's important for a couple of reasons, because Luke Leyland was the first British fighter last weekend in Nigeria to have fought in Dambe. Dambe is kind of, think of like a vintage version of a cross between UFC, wrestling, and boxing. And he went out there, never fought in this, never had trained up until recently, and now is going to talk about his experience in the African Warriors Fighting Championship. And had, I mean, thousands and thousands of people on Instagram regularly view these stories, and you get almost, I think it's like 30 or 40,000 people went out and watched the show, and they had a massive fun. I think it was about 8,000 people that showed up in Nigeria. Luke Leyland's going to talk about all of that here, and he is going to be the final member in our second class of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. So he's going to take his place in history, but he's going to talk about being a part of history. So Bentley, you're in some good categories. You're with RPD, you're with Dean Allmark, you're then with Luke Leyland. Luke Leyland, again, who was, by the way, a one-time pro wrestler trained by some guy, Dean Allmark. He's going to talk about all of that here and some. Saturday night, 9 o'clock British Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time here in New York. Luke Leyland to be officially inducted as the final member of our second class in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. He's going to talk about all things related here to his experience at the African Warriors Fighting Championship there, and becoming the first British fighter, the first actually non-black African fighter to have ever fought in Dambe. Such an honor to have Luke back on here. Thank you, Luke, for your support. Also here, if you want to follow Sportswire Radio, we're on YouTube at Sportswire Radio 6579 Backspace Streams. We're closing in on 500 subscribers. Thank you for all of your support. Also check us out on our internet radio station at sportswireradio.org, and also our Tumblr at Sportswire Radio, where we wrote about Bentley getting into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. No cow hat tonight. Bentley's all about business, Michael. He's all about business tonight. He's all about business because he's got some big shows ahead. I want to say hello to Daniel Banner. I hope that you meet Bentley soon, too. You obviously got to get out there and keep training. Also, hopefully you see a new generation of wrestlers in Kingdom Wrestling. Stay tuned. I want to say hello to my buddy also being inducted into the Hall of Fame 2 weeks from tomorrow. It'll be New York time, 11 o'clock Eastern time. Nicholas Krenz, who's going to be wrestling, by the way. He's going to be wrestling Saturday night in the IMF's New Year's Vengeance show in a 400-seat venue, and he's going to be a part of a really, really big match there. He's going to be wrestling for the IMF Hardcore title against the boogeyman of the Midwest, the hardcore god Omen Black, and the WC All-Out World Champion Kodak Kid. So Nicholas Crenson doing big things. He's going to be in a 400-seat venue Saturday night, New Year's Vengeance, and we're going to certainly talk a lot about the fall of that with Nicholas Crenson. And I also want to get to some more things here. Want to say hello to Mr. Me. You can say hello to me. Yes, it's Al. How you doing, Alfie? It's Bryce, but I certainly say hi. How you doing here? Thank you, Alfie, and I look forward to speaking with you tomorrow with Prince Dagan. I'm the champions here in Bentley's chair, the CCW Underground World Champion. But let me get to Leah. Leah says, well done, Bentley. Keep up the good work. And let me come back here. And yes, we'll see some surprises coming down the road. You know, I want to talk about Kingdom here for a few minutes. Obviously, there's a number one contendership match with two men you know very well. And you have a lot of history with Jack Johnson and Sean Only. Sean Only, obviously, our head trainer in Kingdom. And what's your thoughts there? And do you have a preference? And it's kind of like a weird question for you because two men that you have, some history with, and I'm sure that both men are going to certainly be coming for you real quick. But talk to me about what you expect here in this number one contenders match between Jack Johnson and Sean Only. Jack Johnson, of course, a man that has held multiple championships. And by the way, Jack, big shout out because he's feuding with the Playboy Prince Lance Rivera right now. So if you're ever rooting for somebody to beat Lance Rivera, Jack Johnson might be your man. But talk to me about what your thoughts here in this number one contenders match.
So I've wrestled both, as you've said. I've beat both, as you've said. I beat one of them for a championship in Bolton. But I'm going to stick my neck out and say I would like to face Sean Only.
Really? Really? Why Sean Only?
More because I wrestled Jack throughout the whole year last year.
You and Jack, actually, in 2022. Listen, you remember when Jack was champion there in Kingdom? Also, you guys had a lot of history here.
I feel like I haven't stopped wrestling Jack Johnson for 2 years now, and I feel like me and him, we've got obviously was always going to be that unfinished business. There's always going to be that lingering, animosity. But I would like a fresh challenge because I've not faced Sean Only for a long time now. It was like the first feud I had in GT ministry.
I think he was the first feud that crystallized you. I mean, obviously we spoke a lot about Disciple, and there was a lot of history there with Disciple, and we're kind of going over some losses, and those were certainly what they were. They were what they were. But yeah, I would say Sean Only might have. I don't know if it was the feud that crystallized you as being a top guy, but it was definitely at the top of the list for sure.
Yeah, so I feel like it would be like a full circle moment. Sean's now the head of the academy. He's teaching everybody there.
He's also wrestling everywhere. I see him in Blackheart. I see him in Wrestle Island. I see him all over the place. I mean, another guy that I don't know where he doesn't wrestle.
Exactly, and it's a good challenge for me as champion. It's a good not freshish matchup because we haven't faced for over 2 years. And it will be kind of how I've evolved since the start of GTM through to Kingdom.
First of all, you're a different wrestler, and you also have changed a lot. I mean, your moveset's changed even a little bit. So, I mean, I would agree with that.
Yeah, so I think it'll be a good challenge for me. It'd be a good matchup. It'd be a good marquee matchup. It'll be a good leader of the academy, wants to lead the academy as, I assume as champion, which is why he's in this number one contenders match. It'd be good. So it will be two guys wanting to prove it all.
It's Sean Only. He's always in the mix for a championship. Yeah. Sean Only is definitely, anytime you have him in any promotion, he's a main event player. So there's no question. But yeah, I guess I would have thought Jack, because of so much history with you and Jack. I mean, you and him have been so intertwined, whether it's in BTW, certainly in Kingdom. I think back to the feud where you basically had the title in Kingdom with him, and then Sean Only, obviously there was history there with him, and I think that would have made me think about Jack, because just again of the history that you had with Jack, kind of to get over finally the hurdle and just the personal animosity there in those two promotions. But interesting you say when it comes to Sean Only, and obviously Daniel Banner says anyone in the academy has caught your eye. I think that would be a question for Sean Only. But I don't know if there's. I don't know.
Yeah,
you're busy, obviously focusing on interviews. You're focusing on training.
I would love to get down to the academy, but I haven't been, in all honesty, so I can't give you an honest opinion.
No worries at all. And Alfie Nerd says, my apologies on the article. Yeah, no problem. Definitely, Alfie, you're all good. I can't wait to talk about you tomorrow for sure with Mr. Dagan. So I'm really excited about that. But I wanted to ask you, as I realize I've only got a little bit more time with you, I got to work in Bolton Town, and my old friend Eitan Steen, and what a match that was. I mean, have you done a justice kick before like that ever? Because that was almost like the kick heard around the world. I mean, even, I guess we could say even Drill was like, I have to give it to Bentley on that one. If Drill said that, I mean, literally, was that the kick heard around the world? And by the way, we're going to plug your YouTube page in a second, where you've got over thousands and thousands of views on Reels, but that had to have been maybe the greatest kick you've ever done in your career.
I was very pleased with that kick, especially because literally a minute or two before, I thought I pulled my groin on.
Oh my god! That's like me yesterday. I was on the show and I thought my voice was gonna crack, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
So just before the pedigree, where I also did like a flying kick whilst Ayrton was up
Yeah.
in the air,
Yep.
I I I thought that looked beautiful, but I dropped down and thought I can't get up here, so I had to. It took me a while to shake. Oh, obviously I had to try and shake it off, but it didn't. That's why the pedigree didn't fully, have the right impact, and then managed to pull that out and thankfully win the match because if I had to carry on with that injury,
I was
then
gonna say it also. I mean, I thought it looked like there you was a couple of different distractions out there, and then I saw Tommy Jupiter come out there, and I mean, if I guess I could ask you real quick, and certainly Aton thought he was going to have another championship to his arsenal, but what did you make of all of that outside interference there? If I could ask you on that real
I
quick.
mean, it's the black sheep, isn't it?
Yep.
What do you expect? I had to expect something. Maybe it was a tactical decision by me to save Tommy Jupiter early in the night from the black sheep, so I may have had a little bit of backup in case something like that happened. Who knows?
Tommy Jupiter. I mean, that was really interesting there. I guess that was kind of even the score a little bit there. But boy, I mean, look at the size of Tommy Jupiter. That's a guy I'm certainly going to pay attention to, for quite a while here. But obviously, you end, and what a crowd that was, by the way. I mean, what a show that was, a Christmas chaos. I mean, just the reactions that you get there in Bolton Town, and I'll always say, because we always do these shows every few months, we kind of recap where you are, and I just feel like the fans, you just have such a connection with your fans. I mean, talk to me about that, kind of how they once again helped you dig a little deeper there to retain that championship.
They do, and it's something I'm extremely grateful for because I don't think I'll be able to do it without them. Because there's moments in matches where I'm like, how
about Jack when you won the title in Bolton Town? I mean, that crowd was really like, I'd even say the crowd in Bradford with Rarebit. I mean, the Tribal Cheese brought up Rarebit. I mean, listen, Rarebit was another guy that was a thorn in your side for a long time, and the fans kind of gave you that extra lift almost.
Yeah, there's some sort of energy, and you get through people supporting you and people shouting your name and people being behind you. It kind of makes you invincible to pain for about 5 minutes sometimes, and like you just fight through it, and you just go and go and go till because you don't want to let people down and you don't let yourself down. So that show in December was great for me because it was the first
Great crowd,
Bolton shot, the first Bolton shot outside of the Ellesmere Road Club.
Which
It
we're
was the
back
first
to
one.
on the 16th of February. So
Yeah.
for those that are watching, we're back there on the 16th.
But I know Bolton Town have got a lot more shows this year, so they're going to be.
I did see that. Yeah, I did.
They're going to be here, there, and everywhere. I think we're going to be back at the Leisure Centre, and we're going to be. I think there's going to be other venues, but I can't. I don't know the full details yet. But
yeah, whatever you say at this point, I'm sure we can go to the Bolton Town Wrestling Instagram and Facebook pages for more information. They have listed all the show dates, and I have no doubt that we're going to talk about them. I have no doubt that maybe even Mr. Jackson will come back on the show. So those are things that I have no doubt that we'll look forward to speaking about here. And I want to say hello to somebody out there in New York City. How you doing, Jules? Jules is with us here for a little while longer because the champion has to run soon. But definitely, yeah, I agree with management cheering our friends at BTW. Love BTW. BTW is really one of my favorite products out there. I get a chance from a birdie, wink, wink, to watch those shows. I love those shows, and I hope that people go out there and support them, just like I want people to support Bentley, our 17th member of our Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. Bentley_Wrestler on Instagram, Twitter, Bentley Wrestler, YouTube, Bentley Wrestler. Very important because that's where you can watch those reels. 6,000 views, 10,000 views. You can even watch some highlights of a match once upon a time between Dave Birch and Bentley. You can watch highlights from once upon a time Franco Varga and Bentley. And I even hear from a birdie that, listen, Franco Varga is coming back to the UK. Who knows? Maybe in Kingdom Wrestling, we could see Franco Varga and Bentley one day. I mean, there's a who's who of people that Bentley has wrestled. Go on that YouTube page and check it, and also Facebook, the.vigilante.bentley. Make sure you support this man. This man is pound for pound one of the best wrestlers right now, not only in the UK, but in this sport. It is my hope one day we could see RPD and Bentley square up to see who's the real UK World Heavyweight Champion. But we'll certainly pull that away for a few minutes here. But I did want to ask you in award show. So what awards are you expecting to win on Saturday?
I'm not expecting to win any awards.
Why not? Why not?
I don't, I'm quite a humble guy. I don't, no, I'm not, I don't do this for awards. I don't do this for, I don't like, it's nice to have recognition, but I don't, it's not something I strive. I strive to help people and, win wrestling matches and do good things, good people, as we've said, and just be there for whoever wants me to be there and be that beacon of hope. So I am not expecting to win any awards. If I do win an award, I'll be very honored. I will be very, grateful, and I will accept it. But I'm not expecting anything in that sense.
Okay, interesting. I would not have thought about it that way. But then again, you've always been about for the people. You've always been about serving justice. You've always been somebody that's never given up and done it for the right reasons. So I could certainly respect and appreciate where you come from that. But let me ask you a general question, because I know it's been a little while since you came on the show. And what are your general goals for 2024?
Oh, it's a good one, isn't it?
I try. I always listen. We've been doing this for 2 years. You even said it on Facebook. We do these shows for 2 years, and I always try to at least give you some type of interesting questions, some different type of questions. Have to
So
change it up
obviously,
once in a while.
Obviously last year was strive to win these titles, which
You
I am
went
now.
from the guy that was trying, as I said in my intro to induct you into the Hall of Fame, you went from the guy that was really the example of trying to finish the story to a guy that went through the door and shattered it and broke the door while doing so. You went from the guy, you were the almost man. We would talk about, Bentley, you can't win the big one. Even when you won the big one in Kingdom the first time, Rarebit does the cash in. I mean, you were the guy that was like right there. But now you're at the top. You're the man, really. You're the man in this sport. That's why I was wondering, like, what do you do? Because this is the first year we're starting off that it's like, okay, like, what do we do? What are your goals? You won 2 Rumbles last year in a span of what, 2 weeks? I mean, nobody's done that before. I mean, you won 2 Rumbles, you win 2 world titles in a span of a month. I mean, what you did really was, again, go from the almost man to the made man.
So goals then, 2024, lead Kingdom into this new era, and I want to put on, which I believe, as big-headed as this may sound,
Uh-oh.
I
From you,
want to
uh-oh.
have, I want to have the best match, the best wrestling match on pretty much every show I'm on. I want to be part of the main, I want to be the person people remember. I want, especially being champion, I want to put on bangers every show. That's my goal this year, because I love wrestling. I love the art form. I love going against people like Aton Steen, Dave Birch, Phil Michael, Jack Barron, those type of guys, Jack Johnson, Alex Boyley, and those people who can, who test me, those people who push me to my limits and make me put on these good matches to beat them. So, yeah, I believe last year I put on the best match on a lot of shows I was on. This year I want it to be pretty much everyone.
Let me ask you a question. This is a crazy thought, but last match we saw you was the first main event officially in BTW. I mean, had you thought about that before? Because I hadn't realized that Drill had mentioned during the broadcast that was your first official main event as champion in BTW. What did that mean to you?
I haven't main evented a BTW. It wasn't the main event.
He mentioned something about that, and I was kind of like, I was.
So he said at the end of the, I think he said at the end of the show on commentary that that's your main event right there, because of, I assume, the quality. I hope the quality of the match, but there was a match after it.
I know that. I mean, it was the tag match, and I was kind of like, okay, maybe they counted it as a double main event. But is that something though that you'd like to have more often? Is to always be the main event?
Yeah,
You've
so
always been the best
that
match.
has been a slight bone of contention in my mind, that I've been champion on 2 promotions since September, and I haven't main evented either show with the title. So I would like to at least have some main events of the title, but we shall see how the year goes.
Do you think that in the eye of the fans that they know that who's the true main eventer?
I mean, from certain comments from some of the last show, yes.
I think that that's probably one of your goals then in 2024 is to basically put yourself in the main event if you haven't already. And I think that you are the main event and you are the best match. And I think that considering the people of names that you've gone out there and wrestled, I think at the end of the day, the true fans, the true people that watch your matches and kind of see what's up, they know at the end of the day who's the real main eventer and who's the real champion in this sport. And I'll say it again, once again, as the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, is your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters, the Reverend Tom Bryce. Bentley versus RPD, that could be a match of who is the best pound for pound world heavyweight champion in this country, and maybe even in the world. So certainly stay tuned for that. But before I get to closing thoughts here, I did want to ask you two questions. First of all, obviously, we'll see what happens in the 16th at BTW Love Hurts. We obviously will figure out what will happen there when you're in there. I'm sure we'll talk about that next time you come on the show. But before I get to one more question, I want to ask you, do you have any final words for Dave Birch before Saturday?
Bring the Dave Birch I know. Bring that fantastic wrestler, because I want to put on the best match. I don't want to say best match of the year because it's the first 2 weeks of the year, 3 weeks.
No, you could say that. You could say it's the best match of the year because the first one could be the best one. You can say that. Why not?
I want to set a measuring stick for matches this year, and I want to put on an absolute show stealer, and I want everybody to tune in, buy a ticket, come down, enjoy it, and watch some fantastic wrestling.
Absolutely. Amen to all that. And again, I want people to follow Kingdom Wrestling UK, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And we will have more coverage next month because I'm sure that we'll have Mr. Angel on here. But also, one of your old friends you know very well is coming back to Sportswire Radio, and he might take his place next to you in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, Mr. Nathan Gunn. Mr. Nathan Gunn, who I have not had on Sportswire in ages, looks like he could be making his return here in a few weeks. So stay tuned for that because Mr. Gunn, it was always a part of our old Friday shows. We did our Friday LWF Power Hour, and it was always good to catch up with him. But I agree with Daniel Banner. You went from the almost man to the hero. You went from almost man to Mr. Successful. But really, you went from the almost man to the made man. That makes more sense. But let me ask you this last question. I have to ask it to you formally. What does it now mean to be in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame?
It's an honor. Never did I thought when we started doing these shows a long time ago now.
I know 2 years ago. I never thought I'd have a Hall of Fame either, but I had so many requests from people like, why don't you do one? I'm like, all right.
No, you never did that thought when, I started being a wrestler that I'd be in any sort of Hall of Fame. So it means a lot.
We have a really, really, really good class of people that are actually in the Hall of Fame, despite what some people may say, because we have on, again, Dean Allmarkson and RPD. We have Luke Leyland, who just fought in Dombay. I mean, look up Dombay. If you're out here, just look up Dombay, and you're going to be like, wow, did this guy just do that? Then we have a guy who won almost a national championship in basketball coming on here in a couple of weeks to be inducted, a guy that's very close to my family, somebody I know very well, and Danny Burns. So definitely a lot of stuff there that I think you're going to be excited about here in the future. But we'll leave all of that to a side. Jules wants to congratulate you. Yes, absolutely. We all want to congratulate you. And thank you for all that you've done here for this sport. Thank you for all that you've done these past couple of years and going about it the way you've done it. I think about the opponents that you've wrestled. I think about what you've done in terms of how you conducted yourself. You have been the definition of a professional wrestler. You have been the definition of someone that's gone out there above and beyond his means to do the best and to always do what's right. You've done it no matter what the circumstance is, no matter what the odds were. When you were dealing with Disciple as champion, certainly Jack as champion, Rarebit as champion, the different promotions that you've dealt with, but you've always carried yourself in a way, no excuses. I'll find a way. And that's what you've done. And that's why you are the reigning defending Bolton Town Wrestling Kingdom Wrestling UK champion. And that's why we're so excited about the future. We're going to see you in the ring coming up here this Saturday. Back in action, first match of the year against Dave Birch. And it's going to be a masterpiece. It's going to be one that I promise you want to go out there and watch. Kingdom Wrestling UK on YouTube, also Facebook. Checked out the whole platform. Congratulations to everybody at Kingdom Wrestling. There's a lot of cool things ahead with the charity and different stuff out there going on the road and doing things to make a difference. That's what it's always about, making a difference for the people. We're so excited about the future of Kingdom Wrestling UK and certainly Bentley. My friend, I know you have to run, so I want to give you the floor. I want to give you some closing thoughts. Anything else you want want to plug, share, or say? And I'm looking forward to doing this again here. I would imagine maybe in March at some point.
Yeah, just thanks for your time again, Tom. Thanks for everything. Thanks for the award. Thanks for giving us this, platform to talk about what we do. And yeah, I'm also in the Britannia Wrestling Promotions
Oh,
Rumble.
Britannia. I know Britannia very well.
On the 27th, on Saturday the 27th, I'll be entering the Rumble there. So get yourself down. I think it's in Denby Town Hall. So head over to their page, have a look. Apart from that, I'll see you on Saturday at Kingdom Wrestling.
Absolutely. Thy kingdom come, because the first show of the year, for the first time, Kingdom Wrestling officially is having a show. It's almost like WWF going to WWE, and Bentley's going to be a part of it as he wrestles in a non-title match, which is a dream match. Once again, him and Dave Burch. Dave Burch is a well-accomplished wrestler here in the UK, a man that Bentley trained alongside, and there's so much to get into there with that. I have no doubt we'll talk a lot about the fallout with that also. Jack Johnson, Sean O'Malley, #1 contenders match to decide who will face off with Bentley next. Bentley gave his opinions on that. Plus, award show on February 16th, Bolton Town Wrestling is ahead. You can follow Bentley on a number of different platforms. Instagram, Bentley_wrestler. Twitter, Bentley Rest. Also, YouTube, Bentley Wrestler. This is where you got to follow him. He's got all those reels out there, 6,000, 10,000, 5,000, 2,000, 1,000 views, and the.vigilante.bentley on Facebook. Support this man because he's one of our own. He's in history books now as our 17th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. And my friend, congratulations. Thank you for all you've done for this sport. It's always an honor to talk with you each and every time you're with us, and I look forward to doing this again here very soon. And go get him this Saturday, and can't wait to watch. And thank you for all you do, and congratulations for allowing us to be with you once again and talk all things related to our very good friends over at BTW and Kingdom. And congratulations once again.
Thank you very much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the Vigilante of Pro Wrestling, Bentley here. He's officially now our 17th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. He'll be in action here this Saturday at Kingdom Wrestling's first show of the year. It's the first official show that Kingdom Wrestling has under the new name. He'll be wrestling against Dave Burch in a dream match, especially for wrestling fans like us. He'll be back in action on February the 16th for Bolton Town Wrestling and January the 27th. He'll also be in the ring at the Britannia Rumble. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, the #1 global radio station where all wrestling matters. Until tomorrow, where I'll be back with Prince Dagan, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. British Standard Time. Dustin Alexander, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time of Resurrection Wrestling. He's their hardcore champion. And Saturday, to take place, is the final member of our second class of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, Luke Leyland. Just became the first British fighter to ever fought in Dombey. Until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, on the #1 global radio station that is Sportswire Radio.